Well, it's 1 o'clock. I'd like to go ahead and get us started. I want to start by thanking everyone for being here today. I don't know what your trials and challenges to get here, but we really appreciate you all being here today. I'd like to start off with introducing our musicians this morning, or this afternoon. I'd like to start with Kira Carver. She is a sixth grader at the Lincoln Middle School in Cottage Grove. Thank you. And then we have Jimmy Shopper. He is also from Cottage Grove. He's an engineer / organic agricultural scientist. So, and also he is a meeting buff. I think if there's any meetings you go to, there's a really good chance you'll see Jimmy there. So thank you, Jimmy. And just before I actually start the official program, I feel it's important to start off with a thank you. I want to thank all of our professionals that have been dealing with this storm and the previous storm for the last month. Our public works directors throughout the state, our law enforcement professionals, our utility folks, our fire and life safety individuals. They have done an extremely great job. And just to kind of explain a little bit about this is, I saw a number that the state police posted yesterday, that in the last 3 days they responded to over 750 incidents in the last 3 days. I mean, it's just phenomenal, the work that they're having to do, and I greatly appreciate all those individuals, so thank you very much. So with that, I'd like to ask everyone to stand, and we'll have the presentation of the colors at this time. And if I might, I'd like to ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time you may be seated, please. I'd like to thank the folks that presented the colors. Dennis Twite is the post commander for the VFW in Cottage Grove, and Ken Hunt is the past post commander. So thank you very much for the presentation today. So at this time, I'd like to welcome some of the folks here that I'd like to call out and thank for being here. I'd like to start off first with Lane County's presiding judge, Karsten Rasmussen. I'd like to welcome and thank Mayor-elect Lucy Vennis for being here. I'd like to thank Mayor of Springfield, Christine Lundberg, for being here. We have a couple counselors, Counselor from Cresswell, Zutterval, and Counselor Susie Lacier from Florence. And it's my understanding she was escorted by the police chief, former Sheriff Tom Turner. And we also have our assessor here today, Mike Coles, and a couple that I'll throw out there. We also are welcome to have Debbie Farr, the Bethel School District board member, and also Alicia Hayes from 4J. So thank you all for being here. So with that, I'd like at this time to turn this over to Presiding Judge Rasmussen to give the oath of office to our elected officials.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm Karsten Rasmussen. I want to just briefly say that it's an honor and a privilege to be asked to do this year after year. I think I'm asked because it's short and sweet, and I don't take very long doing it, and because I don't have a lot to say. But I would like to say thank you to my commissioner for asking me to do this, and to Lane County staff for making it so easy for me. And I also just want to make a brief comment about the importance of public oaths. Public oaths are our way of affirming our obligations and our duties to the public, and they are our opportunity for those of us who take them to affirm that in a public way and to make that commitment that we make every day of our work in a public way so that it can be reported in the press and everyone can be reminded of the importance of the work that we do every day. So it's a real honor for me to be here today. Commissioner Sorensen, we're going to start with the older guy who is, except for perhaps a couple of us judges, maybe now the senior maybe not in age, but in seniority terms, the longest-serving elected politician in the county now. Pete? I, Peter Sorensen,
I, Pete Sorensen,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and that I will faithfully and to the best of my ability
and I will faithfully and to the best of my ability
discharge the duties of Lane County Commissioner,
discharge the duties of Lane County Commissioner.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Judge.
So I'm going to ask you, you want to stand or how?
I was going to turn to Commissioner Stewart on when you wanted us to make some comments.
After me.
Afterwards.
Commissioner Farr. That part I knew. Would you raise your right hand, please? I, Pat Farr,
I, Pat Farr,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and that I will faithfully and to the best of my ability
that I will faithfully and to the best of my ability
discharge the duties of Lane County Commissioner,
discharge the duties of Lane County Commissioner.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Sheriff? We've done this a time or two also, haven't we? I, Byron Trapp, do solemnly swear
I, Byron Trapp, do solemnly swear
that I'll support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oregon
and the laws thereof,
and the laws thereof.
and I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties of the office of Lane County Sheriff
discharge the duties of the office of Lane County Sheriff
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. And District Attorney Perlow. Raise your right hand. I, Patricia Perlow, do solemnly swear
I, Patricia Perlow, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oregon
and the laws thereof,
and the laws thereof,
and I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
and I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties of the office of District Attorney
discharge the duties of the office of District Attorney
to the best of my abilities,
to the best of my abilities,
so help me God.
so help me God.
And with that, I'll turn it back over to the chair.
So at this time, I'd like each of the elected officials that were sworn in to come up and give comments if they choose to. So I'd like to start off with Commissioner Sorensen.
Thank you, Commissioner Stewart. Good morning. This is partially participatory. Harriet Beecher Stowe said, "Never give up, for that is just the place and time that the tide will turn." And I've always lived by that view, and today is no different. And today is the 6th time I've been sworn into a 4-year term as a Lane County Commissioner for the South Eugene District. I've also been sworn in twice as a Oregon State Senator and sworn in 3 times as a Lane Community College board member. I've been privileged and honored to be called to this public service. But let's face it, even by today's low standards, that's a lot of swearing. Today, as with the other 5 times here at Harris Hall, there's an opportunity to thank the people of our district who've entered into a partnership with me. If I wanted to be the commissioner, and they wanted me to be the commissioner, that would be a good match. But today is a day of celebration at the fact that the people of Lane County have elected several people, including me, to terms in elective office. In a sense, it's a celebration of representative democracy, something that too many people take for granted. Today is the ceremonial first day of terms of these offices, and I'm fortunate to be elected and look forward with enthusiasm to serving the people of our district for the next 4 years. But today, however, is a bit different for me, because at the end of this term, I will have served 24 years as commissioner. That's a long time. The Center for Health Statistics says the average American lifespan is 78.8 years. So 24 years is about 30% of that time. And as my 95-year-old mother knows, that's about a quarter of her lifetime. And I hope it's at least a quarter of my lifetime. By the way, I wouldn't be here without the support of my mom, Jean Sorensen. She's the mother who helped give me the support and gave me the confidence to serve in public office. We owe a lot to our families, too, the families that make a sacrifice for us to serve as elected officials. And I have a whole slew of family members who've sacrificed. And I'd like my mother and wife to stand, Kim and Jean, to stand in partially to represent all of you who are spouses and mothers and fathers and children of elected officials. So thank you. You know, my kids aren't here, but they are taxpayers now, and they're both South Eugene High School graduates. They're both college graduates, both married, both breadwinners, both homeowners, and both wonderful adults. I know they're not here today because they're on their own careers and doing lots of other things, but I wanted to pay tribute to their sacrifice as well. Now, some of this may sound like I'm retiring. And here's what Ernest Hemingway said about retirement. Retirement is the ugliest word in the English language. He should know he won the Nobel Prize for Literature. George Burns says, retire? I'm going to stay in show business until I'm the only one left. And for a while, I think the other commissioners thought I'd try to stay here forever. But today is the day, not that I'm retiring, but the day I say I'm working hard for 4 more years as commissioners, giving that progressive and practical viewpoint. But today is the day that I will say that in 4 years, there'll be another commissioner here representing the South Eugene District. Professor Margaret Mead said, sooner or later, I'm going to die, but I'm not going to retire. So no, I'm not going to retire, but I won't be the commissioner in 4 years. I'm moving on to a different adventure. Perhaps in public service, maybe in back to public interest law practice. Someone else will be elected and entrusted with the responsibility and honor to serve the people of our district. Finally, I want to say that it's really a pleasure to work as a commissioner. It's not always easy, and there's a lot of complaining, there's a lot of backbiting, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't think most of you would want to deal with, but it is important to help people. It's very important to work with the board and on the board's priorities and what the board is doing to try to lead the community. And finally, as an individual, as a leader, to be a leader in the community. So I live by simple ideals recently expressed by First Lady Michelle Obama. Don't be afraid, be focused, be determined, be hopeful, be empowered, build a country, and for those of us here today, I would say build a county worthy of our boundless promise. Lead by example, with hope, never fear. And thank you for giving me this responsibility.
Thank you, Commissioner Sorensen. Next, Commissioner Farr.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner Sorensen, for warming up the audience. You know, 4 years ago, I stood here beginning my first term, and as I stood up here, Lane County seemed to me, as a new commissioner, in a little bit of a disarray. We had an administrator who didn't seem to be accountable for all of the administrator's actions. We had a building that was kind of torn apart. In fact, I served in my office, and nobody else was serving on that floor while I was serving in my office. I had to run downstairs 2 flights to get my printing off the printer and to visit our acting administrator, Alicia Hayes, who's sitting in the corner over there. Alicia, thank you. Wasn't very comfortable, but I'm here to say that 4 years later, this place has changed significantly. 4 years later, Lane County is on a trajectory that I'm very pleased and proud of. Over the course of the last 4 years, a lot of things happened. One of the most important things is we passed our public safety levy. The people of Lane County trusted us and passed the public safety levy and allowed us to add more beds to the jail, not to keep people incarcerated. That's not what our jail is really primarily for. What we added more beds for was to make certain that people weren't walking out the back door before they had a chance to compensate for the crimes that they'd already committed. People were walking out of the back door and committing more crimes. We put an end to that, and at the same time, we added positions in the jail through the public safety levy that really helped us to turn the jail more into a place where people not only served their penalty, but also got better. We added behavioral health positions in the jail that help people to receive services beyond just incarceration. Our jail is more than a place for people to serve their penalties. Our jail is a place for people to get better. And I'd like to thank Sheriff Trapp, and before him, I'd like to thank Sheriff Turner for making sure that happened. Our jail is not just a place that people serve penalties. Our jail is a place that people get better. Significantly, that public safety levy added beds to our juvenile facility out at the Surview Center, doubled our capacity for housing juveniles who have an opportunity to learn to not enter the criminal justice system through our Juvenile Justice Center. And we also added a community crisis center. Another thing that happened in the last 4 years is we hired Steve Mokrahajski. That was a big step for us. We conducted a national search, and we found the person who is absolutely perfect for the job. And I'll let Commissioner Stewart, I won't steal Commissioner Stewart's thunder. He's going to give us the State of the County address in a little bit and say all the great things that have happened in the last 3 and 4 years. Additionally, we identified the need for a performance auditor. We searched and we found a performance auditor, and we now have a staffed office of performance auditor that's not an internal auditor. The performance auditor audits the performance of the departments of the county and makes certain that we're using our budget and our effectiveness the best we can. And it's working. We have a permanent audit committee that helps advise and helps guide the performance auditor, and our temporary audit committee created a work plan and a strategic plan that the auditor operates by. And today, we are operating in a more efficient system inside of the county, and we've identified the areas that we can best better our system and best use our limited budget dollars. Additionally, over the last 4 years, we added an Equity and Access Advisory Committee. After a year plus of work of the Equity and Access Task Force, we determined that in order for people who work at Lane County and the people who are served by Lane County have access and equity in the services that we provide and the jobs that we do, we created an Equity and Access Committee, which is advisory to the commissioner, and we hired the head of that department. I'll call it a department, and Mo Young is sitting in the back. Mo, thank you for being here with us today. Equity and Access is a large part of what we've accomplished the last 4 years in Lane County. Strategic planning. One of the first things that Steve Mokrahajski did when he came on board was write and put in place a powerful strategic plan that identified goals, strategies, and tactics so that everybody who works at Lane County at any one point in the day can assess the work they're doing and know that the work they're doing is absolutely moving us forward to the goals that we have established as a county. We're working with other jurisdictions in ways that I've personally never seen before. Currently, for instance, we're working with the city very closely to place a courthouse, to place a new city hall, and to put, maybe across the street, a brand new year-round farmers market. Everything is moving in the right direction. Far more interjurisdictional work is happening, but that is a hallmark of the kinds of things that we are doing as a county. We have a community health improvement plan. 3 years ago, we put in place a community health improvement plan to advance and improve health equity in the county, improve access to health care, prevent and reduce tobacco use, slow the slow the increase of obesity, and prevent and use substance abuse and mental illness. We've gone through that plan for 3 years, and I'm proud to say and pleased to say that we've been successful in all 5 areas and moving along to the second phase, next phase of our community health improvement plan. We added a poverty and homelessness board. To me, that's one of the most significant things I've ever seen a jurisdiction do. It's an intergovernmental body. It's not an interjurisdictional board. It's a Lane County board that reports to the Human Services Commission, excuse me. And this board is the aim of this board is to increase availability and access to coordinated supportive housing, prevent homelessness and poverty, and increase the public understanding of poverty and homelessness. And I'm proud to say that we've done a good job. One of the main things we did as a board was in 2015, we conducted Operation 365. We had a goal of housing 365 homeless veterans in Lane County. We blew it away. We housed 404, and the culmination of that was that we were invited to the White House this last December to celebrate Lane County's success in housing homeless veterans in Lane County. So things are moving forward, but significantly, the work's not done. What we have coming up, well, it's time to renew the public safety levy again. We'll be asking people to take a look at the work we've done, take a look at the efficiency, and take a look at the safer county that we're living in now. We're going to ask them to renew the levy. We're going to continue our work with other jurisdictions until a new courthouse is built, until a new city hall is built, until we have a year-round farmers market and things are moving and flowing downtown Eugene in a way that they've never flowed before. We have a new community health improvement plan. Our behavioral health is moving forward in so many different areas. It's hard to recount the many different things that we're doing regarding behavioral health, substance abuse, and mental health. And our equity and access efforts are greater than ever. I'll come back to that in just 1 second. And we are now launching Operation 600. You've heard of Operation 365, which is housing homeless veterans. Operation 600 is a goal of the Poverty and Homelessness Board in conjunction with Springfield and with Eugene and other jurisdictions in Lane County to provide 600 new supportive housing units in Lane County before 2021. That's a huge goal, 600 supportive housing units. That's places for men and women to live who are the most frequent users of our emergency systems, places for people to live safely so that they can get better. And that's what we're all about, is making Lane County better, making our cities better, and making the people here have a better life. Significantly, we need to continue our work on equity and access. Right now, we're working to make sure that everybody living in Lane County, every man, woman, and child living in Lane County knows that they have a safe place to live, free of persecution, free of bias, free of racial discrimination, and free of the fear that they don't know where they're going to be living tomorrow. Lane County is a safe place to live. The last thing I'm going to mention is that Debbie Farr has already been mentioned as a member of the Bethel School Board. Debbie's also a former state rep. And most important to me, 42 years ago, she and I were married. Thank you for joining me here today, Debbie, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Commissioner Farr. Sheriff Trapp?
Good afternoon. I'm going to do my part to get us home in time for dinner. Very briefly, I very much want to thank the community for the support of their sheriff's office. It truly is an honor and a privilege to serve the men and women of the sheriff's office. They are a great group of people. I've been a part of this office for nearly 29 years, and to find myself in this position is remarkable to me. And it's a community that is very supportive. They tell us that every day, and so it's exciting to be here and to serve as your sheriff. Thank you very much.
At this time, District Attorney Perlow.
Thank you, Commissioner Stewart. I'll be brief as well. I just want to tell you it's a real honor and privilege to serve as district attorney, and I've enjoyed that for the past 18 months now since my appointment. The question I've been asked the most often is, is it what you expected? And I have to say, I was in the office for 25 and a half years when Judge Rasmussen, who's no longer here, administered my first oath and thought I knew everything. And guess what? I didn't know anything. It was a huge learning curve for the politics part of it. Sure, I know what the DA's office does, but did you know that a lot of the decisions I make not only impact what happens here in Lane County, but impact other DA's offices all over the state because they're watching what we're doing. So I have really enjoyed my 18-month learning curve, and I'm ready now that I've been elected and I'm stepping into the real shoes to serve you well. Thank you. It's a privilege, and I intend to try to do the right thing every day.
Thank you, Ms. Perlow. So at this time, we have a special performance here from Mrs. Carver and Mr. Shopper.
Just a bit of background. The song we're going to perform was written by a good friend of mine and a number of other people here in the room, Rob Murtaugh. He was a singer-songwriter down in Cottage Grove. He is also a gold miner up in the Bohemia Mining District. He was a Weyerhaeuser employee, husband, father, and a person who was really very highly regarded in Cottage Grove. He was also an American, Native American spiritual leader. And he wrote a number of songs about living in our part of Oregon. And this particular song describes what it's kind of like living down in Cottage Grove and Lane County. And I hope I do justice to the song. I know Kira will. She's got her part memorized, always. But anyway, let's see. Land of the mountains, land of the valleys, land of your water, land of the rain, land of the ocean, land of the giant trees, land of the morning fog, your spirits in my soul. Wherever I go, I always think of home. There's no place on this earth I'd rather be. I've met the nicest folks and I've walked upon their land, but the Northwest Coast is where I want to be. Land of the mountains, land of the valleys, land of pure water, land of the rain, land of the ocean, land of the giant trees, land of the morning fog, your beauty's in my soul. Standing at my cabin, the valley down below me, past the green valley.
Thank you, Kira and Jimmy. It was great. So I want to start off by saying thank you again for joining us here today. It is an honor to work on behalf of our community alongside these fine people. Congratulations again to Commissioner Sorensen, Commissioner Farr, District Attorney Perlow, and Sheriff Trapp. You may not know this, but Commissioner Sorensen is one of the longest serving commissioners in Lane County's history. Few of us make it to the 20-year mark, much less begin a 6th term as Commissioner Sorensen is today. I think that deserves an additional round of applause. Thank you. It is also an honor to be able to share the highlights of our work during the past year with you today. I am proud to say that our efforts to create long-term budget stability are beginning to bear fruit. During the past 2 years, we have focused on putting our house in order. By that, I mean that we have made progress toward achieving a budget that balances our revenues and expenses by reducing our internal costs first and not cutting already stretched services to our community. Please join me in watching an overview of some of the best work from the past 12 months. 2016 was an incredibly busy year, but it was also an incredibly rewarding year to be a part of the work Lane County is doing in our community. We made great progress with our efforts to create long-term budget stability, including getting closer to a structurally balanced budget while enhancing critical services, ultimately helping our community become safer, healthier, and more vibrant. During the last 12 months, we have balanced our waste management budget in a way that was responsive to public concerns and feedback. We have adopted a roadside vegetation management plan that brought together people on all sides of the question about using spray to control invasive species. We have begun to develop a new parks master plan with the help of a task force that includes community representation from all regions of Lane County. We have continued our efforts to address homelessness through leadership on the Poverty and Homelessness Board, providing property downtown for the construction of low-income housing, supporting the construction of the Oaks at 14th with sponsors and the Housing and Community Services Agency, embarking upon an effort with our community partners to build 600 Housing First units by 2021, and working continuously with our partners such as St. Vincent de Paul and the City of Eugene in increasing services across our community. We have also renewed our commitment to equity by creating a community-led equity and access board, as well as hiring a coordinator to guide our efforts both internally and out in the community. The foundation of these successes is a combination of our talented and dedicated staff and our work to close our structural funding gap.
Last year, we made over $4 million in structural adjustments through targeted reductions to expenses with no layoffs or reductions in services. We also made strategic investments in critical services, such as our public safety system. We opened a new community crisis center for individuals experiencing a mental health crisis who would otherwise end up in the emergency room or jail. We expanded other crisis services, including Cahoots and crisis respite housing options. We expanded the Jail Intercept program for individuals in the jail system that can be better served at Lane County Behavioral Health in order to reduce the number of individuals with mental health needs cycling through the criminal justice system. We're able to make these investments while still reducing our structural imbalance between revenues and expenses. In addition to those investments, our Sheriff's Office continues to exceed the promise made to voters for the jail levy.
We have promised 255 local offender jail beds. We actually today are at 317. Since the passage of the levy, we've increased jail capacity for local offenders over 250%. We have reduced capacity-based releases, early releases from the jail because of capacity, by over 63%. And since the installation of the jail beds following the levy, we have not released any Measure 11 offenders. and we have not released the violent felons from the jail. For a number of reasons, revenues exceeded expectations, and we were able to reduce the amount levied and still operate the jail at levels exceeding that promised in the levy. We're also very grateful to the community that has supported the Sheriff's Office and funding of the jail in these very critical services.
It's not just public safety that we have invested in this year. We have continued to make the health of Lane County a priority. In 2016, we worked to update our community health improvement plan and explored opportunities to reduce the rate of tobacco use, a leading cause of death in Lane County. We also celebrated the one-year anniversary of our Delta Clinic, which provides critical services to those who may not have health care access elsewhere. In fact, during the first 11 months of the operation, the clinic, our 7th in Lane County, served more than 5,000 new patients.
Community health centers are different than other health centers or medical providers in this community because we really specialize in being creative and meeting the needs of a really wide range of people.
Being able to practice in a clinic that offers me the ability to provide a wide variety of resources for my patients, not just medical, but mental health and social and community resources, is a real draw for me.
It's really nice to be able to tell the patient, this is your care team. It's not just me and you working together. You have a whole team making sure you're getting what you need.
In Lane County, we have more than 100,000 residents spread across an area the size of Connecticut. Economic development is critical to creating vibrant communities from the coast to the Cascades. In 2016, we welcomed an expansion of PacTech, an industrial product packaging manufacturer, into Cottage Grove. In order to continue attracting investment in our rural areas, we have created the Rural Prosperity Initiative.
The Board of Commissioners have prioritized community and economic development, both for their citizens and our partner organizations. We, in community and economic development, as a result, have developed what's called the Rural Prosperity Initiative. We've been able to implement this program over the last year, and really we can speak to a number of accomplishments already. One is that we hired a staff person who is fully dedicated to this program and implementation. The Middle Mile is a fiber and broadband project that allows for high-speed services to not only the metropolitan area but also rural Lane County. What we're going to see is high-speed internet in Westford and Oak Ridge almost immediately, and opportunities for the remainder of Lane County to have access to that critical service over the next few years. Additionally, what we'd like to do is identify very critical projects in each of our rural communities that we can assist on. We're in the process of doing that now, and we will continue to do that with all of our partners moving forward, so that we know how we can strategically invest our limited resources to not only benefit those communities, but all of Lane County.
Although we made great strides in 2016, we are far from finished. We will continue with innovative and creative approaches to creating long-term financial stability while making investments in critical services for our community. Thank you. So I ask that you bear with me. There might be a little bit of duplication in some of what you've heard. But this past year was an incredible year. In 12 years, I believe this was one of the best years that we've had as a board, and I want to thank my colleagues, Commissioner Sorensen, Commissioner Farr, Commissioner Bozovich, and Commissioner Lyken for the great work that we did. So with that, as you just heard, we made over $4 million in structural adjustments to get closer to a structurally balanced budget. We plan to finish closing the gap between revenues and operational expenses this upcoming fiscal year. A large factor in our success to date is our ability to reduce and control our internal costs. For example, we are entering the second year with no increase in healthcare cost, which is largely unheard of for an organization our size. We are proud to do this we are able to do this, and thanks to moving to a self-funded insurance program, moving employees to plans that include cost sharing, and opening the Live Well Center to help provide quality health care for employees and their families while controlling the costs of routine doctor's visits. We are actively reducing our debt burden and interest rate costs to taxpayers by using one-time funds to prepay existing debt. We have also saved an estimated $750,000 countywide over the last 12 months by carefully reviewing vacancies before hiring and also offering a cost savings voluntary separation incentive to qualifying employees. We did this while maintaining quality services across our departments. We have extended the replacement schedule for our fleet vehicles and are currently working to reduce the overall size of our fleet to ensure the appropriate balance of infrastructure and service levels. We began using our existing legal staff to handle all litigation, saving over $1.2 million in market rate legal fees. We continue to improve safety programs and work to help our workers' compensation costs lower. This, we saw a savings of more than $640,000. This work to put our house in order is especially important because so much of our funding is outside of our control. For example, we returned this year to receiving a portion of the actual timber harvest revenues, which represents a 91% reduction or loss of nearly $35 million per year in federal forest receipts since the year 2000. That's funding that we no longer have for public safety, roads, and local schools. Despite these challenges, the Oregon Secretary of State's office removed Lane County from its list of counties to monitor in regard to financial health, and we are currently being considered for a general obligation bond rating upgrade by Moody's, which provides independent evaluations of credit risk and ratings and is used worldwide. While we made reductions last year, we also managed to make strategic investments in critical public safety services. These investments were carefully chosen to help strengthen the system as a whole, from our ability to jail and prosecute criminals to our ability to supervise post-releases and provide mental health interventions. As you heard from our sheriff, we continue to exceed the promise we made to voters for the jail levy. The sheriff's office also returned to 24-hour patrol for the first time in years. We added 2 new positions in the district attorney's office. With the investments, we reduced the number of crimes not prosecuted due to the lack of resources from 1,800 in 2015 to just 74 in 2016. That's a 96% reduction in just 1 year. In addition, the higher number of cases prosecuted will help increase our state funding for the district attorney's office in future years. Thank you, Patty. In parole and probation, our officers handle nearly double the number of high-risk offenders compared to similar counties. The addition of a new officer to work with high-risk and repeat offenders in the jail provides much-needed support to the division. We also recognize that those with mental health issues often need a solution outside of prosecution and imprisonment in order to break the cycle of costly visits to the emergency room and jail. This spring, Lane County funded the opening of a 24-hour crisis center, Hourglass, which is operated by Columbia Care. The center has already served more than 1,000 people in need of short-term mental health crisis stabilization and referral services. We also added 3 mental health positions in the jail to work directly with offenders who may need treatment and referrals in order to break the cycle of incarceration. 2016 also marked the 2nd year of our current strategic plan. I'm proud to report that we accomplished many things that help us work together towards our vision of Lane County as the best county in which to live, work, and play. Our 3 priority areas are a safe, healthy county, vibrant communities, and infrastructure. While public safety is a large component of creating a safe, healthy county, it is not the only one. Our public health staff work tirelessly with community members and partners such as United Way, Peace Health, Trillium, and more to update our Community Health Improvement Plan, commonly known as the CHIP. This CHIP is a regional outline to guide how we work together to improve our community's mental, physical, and social health. We advocated for funding from the legislature to open a youth respite center at our Cebu campus. Looking Glass is operating the center, which assists foster kids and families during difficult times. It is one of only a few facilities of its kind in Oregon. The Lane County Poverty and Homelessness Board, which is a working partnership among the county, the City of Eugene, the City of Springfield, the Housing and Community Services Agency, sponsors, St. Vincent de Paul, and others, continued its work to provide resources to the most vulnerable members of our community. We celebrated completing our 2015 goal of housing more than 400 veterans, and county and Eugene representatives were invited to the White House Summit to discuss similar strategies for this fall. We provided funding to help support the Oaks at 14th, a 54-unit apartment complex that will provide affordable, permanent housing for people with criminal histories who face significant barriers to securing housing after incarceration. The complex is expected to open in 2017 and will have 2 Lane County parole and probation officers permanently stationed there. The board approved the 3rd of 4 milestones needed for HACSA to develop more than 30 units of low-income housing on county-owned downtown property. In West Lane County, we work closely with groups of residents to evaluate the possibility of forming a Fern Ridge Community Policing District to fund enhanced law enforcement services in that area. While the board ultimately declined to place the policing district on the ballot in 2016, after hearing feedback from the wider Fern Ridge community, the process led to a valuable community discussion about public safety. And in order to better support those who risk everything to keep us safe, the board unanimously voted to provide a real property tax exemption through Senate Bill 1513 to surviving spouses of emergency personnel killed in the line of duty. Vibrant communities that provide economic opportunity to all are key to the well-being of our communities, from individuals and families to largest agencies and businesses. Our economic development efforts are geared toward supporting and enhancing that opportunity from Florence to the McKenzie Bridge and Oak Ridge areas. The Rural Prosperity Initiative is an exciting new approach to supporting the diverse and unique needs in each of our small communities. We also continue to focus on job creation through business investments and expansion. Our partnerships with the Chambers of Commerce, cities, and organizations such as Greater Eugene, Inc., RAIN, Fertilab, and LEC, the Lane Economic Committee, help us to support local businesses and attract new opportunities to Lane County. This year, we worked with the City of Eugene to extend the West Eugene Enterprise Zone program, which provides valuable tools for economic development. We also supported the efforts of Coburg and Springfield to expand their urban growth boundaries so that they can grow along with the needs of the residents and their businesses. In our land management division, we have increased our capacity to process applications as the need of permits and other services increases. We will be continuing to establish a strategic plan for land management in order to continue responding to growth in our community and local economy. Vibrant communities must also be welcoming to all. Our renewed commitment to equity and access, both inside our organization and out in our community, led to continued improvements, including establishing including the establishment of and recruitment of the new Equity and Access Advisory Board, which is comprised of local residents. The group will hold its first formal meeting on February 1st. This October, a record number of staff attended a Fall Equity Summit, a sign that we are increasingly understanding of the need to provide services in a welcoming, culturally appropriate manner to all of our community members. I am proud to say that it isn't just Lane County that has placed a high priority on welcoming communities. 9 Lane County mayors and many local agencies and nonprofits joined us in signing a statement of unity that commits us to, among other things, building strong communities that promote kindness, compassion, and respect. In 2017, I expect to see us put those commitments into action and further our understanding and work toward creating equity for all that we serve. I also expect to see us continue improving our accessibility, transparency, and openness. In 2016, we launched an improved website that offers better, easier access to information. We also held open houses on several subjects in different communities, gathering community feedback. And we reached out to the rural communities and hosted meetings in Oak Ridge and the Fern Ridge area. Our third priority area, infrastructure, provides quite literally the foundation on which we rely to support our other efforts. Lane County maintains 1,440 miles of roads, more than 400 bridges, 70 parks, and 15 waste transfer stations, and the county's only public landfill. Our roads and bridges alone represent more than $6 billion in assets. Maintaining that infrastructure is a challenge, even with adequate funding. However, our road fund has been hit hard by the reduction of the federal forest receipts, making large-scale investments in maintenance and improvements difficult. Our staff has done a wonderful job of forging partnerships and using innovative solutions to increasing our ability to invest in our roads, bridges, parks, and waste system. The vegetation management plan and parks master plan processes mentioned in the video are wonderful examples of working with our community to set priorities and create practices that balance community vision with the need for services. The process we underwent to balance our waste management budget this year involved feedback from hundreds of community members across Lane County. That feedback allowed us to find a solution that ensured the system, which receives no tax funds, could move into the black while minimizing changes to the services that our community told us were most critical, including keeping all but one of the transfer stations open. We also further cemented our partnerships with the Oregon State Parks and the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife by taking over the operation of 2 parks in West Lane County, Archie Knolls, which we reopened, and the Coney Memorial Park. We entered into lease agreements for the long-term shuttered forest work camp with a local nonprofit called Veterans Legacy. Now that piece of infrastructure can be used to provide services to our veterans instead of standing empty. Most recently, we saw our hard work to establish partnerships, emergency procedures, and new tools like the Weather Events Response Coordination System, commonly known as WORKS, put to the test during an ice storm. Our crews responded to more than 500 incidents of downed trees, branches, landslides, and flooding in a matter of days. While the cleanup efforts will continue for many weeks to come, I would like to recognize the incredible efforts of our roads and public works employees, our emergency manager, the sheriff's office deputies and staff, as well as our facilities staff. They work tirelessly with our city and utility partners to restore lanes of travel across our county. We are lucky to have dedicated and talented staff in all of our departments and divisions. I wish we had the time, I wish we could take the time today to recognize them all. Even though that isn't possible, I would like to recognize one staff member who is in the audience today. He is an example of the exceptional people we have in Lane County, who don't work for a paycheck, but who work because they want to serve our community. He has spearheaded efforts to design and use technology in order to increase our ability to efficiently maintain our 1,440 miles of road with minimal staff and limited resources. He embraced the work system and partnered with our Geographical Information Services staff to develop a real-time tracking tool that his staff are implementing in a variety of ways. He led a successful effort to create a new vegetation management plan that advocates and organizations on both sides of the, let me start over. He led a successful effort to create a new vegetation management plan that advocates and organizations on both sides of the issue supported. The adopted plan also allows the county to use limited herbicides to control invasive and difficult to manage vegetation along our roadways. This is a considerable victory in our process that just a few years ago was referred to as a war by our local paper. And finally, despite significant damage to his own home and vehicles during last month's ice storm, he worked around the clock for nearly 2 days in order to ensure others could access their homes and that the emergency vehicles that had access to the residents on county roads. He put the safety and needs of our community and of his staff before his own in a demonstration of the type of leadership we have in Lane County, without expectation for recognition. So I'd like you to please join me in recognizing our roads manager, Orrin Schumacher. Infrastructure also includes the organizational policies and practices that guide how we provide services. This year, our performance auditor released 2 reports evaluating our effectiveness and our efficiency. The first was an overview of the county's financial position. The second was a look at our behavioral health programs. The financial report found that we are managing our limited resources well in spite of our challenges. The behavioral health report found that we have made several improvements in recent years, including the crisis center I mentioned early. It also found that we must continue to improve our ability to provide intensive case management so that we can provide a truly comprehensive safety net for patients and families. So in 2017, we must continue this momentum. We also have several large initiatives in front of us. One of those initiatives is to continue our collaboration with the City of Eugene to identify and procure a site for the new courthouse. Last month, after exhaustive study of 3 potential location scenarios, the board unanimously decided to pursue the purchase of the city-owned lot where the former City Hall was located as the site for a standalone courthouse. On the same day, Eugene City Council decided to pursue the purchase of the county-owned Butterfly lot as the site for the City Hall. We will be outlining a process to appraise both properties and determine the negotiation process this month. We appreciate the city's partnership over the last several months, the opportunity to work together to find a solution that best serves our community and helps promote continued growth in downtown Eugene is one that doesn't come along often. Together we can foster vibrancy and growth downtown, as well as opportunities to make efficient use of public resources. A second large initiative is the newly announced Operation 600. We are embarking, along with our Poverty and Homelessness Board partners, on a 4-year effort to create 600 Housing First units to get 600 people and families off the streets and into housing. We know that stable housing opens the doors for people to make improvements in their physical, mental, and social and financial health that simply aren't possible when they don't have a place to live and are on the streets or relying on shelter programs. We are starting the effort by evaluating 2 county-owned properties as possible locations for construction. One near our behavioral health campus on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and the other alongside the Lane County Fairgrounds. It is my sincere hope that our partners and others in the community join us in supporting that effort. It may seem like a tall order in 4 years, but it is absolutely possible, and it is absolutely critical that we succeed. I hope that in the sampling of highlights from 2016, you have found something to celebrate. I also hope that you are as excited as we are about the work ahead of us. We intend to close our structural imbalance this year and create long-term stability on our programs and services. We intend to continue looking for innovative ways to control our internal costs while advocating to the state and federal governments for the resources we need to provide the level of services our community should have. We also intend to make smart investments in the services and systems that make our community safer, healthier, and more vibrant. I would like to end by offering thanks. Thanks to my colleagues and fellow county elected officials for their continued leadership and dedication to making Lane County an incredible place. Thanks to our staff for their tireless work to provide excellent services to those we serve, regardless of our challenges. You make us all Lane County proud. Thanks to our community partners for their passion and innovation when it comes to working together to provide services, solutions, and the support to our community. Thanks to our community members who are each and every one the reason we continue to work to improve our services and who make this community the special place that it is. And finally, thanks to all of you here today. Aware and involved community members and partners are vital if we hope to continue our progress toward stability and prioritizing investment in critical services. Thank you. So that concludes. Thank you for bearing with me on this. We do have refreshments right outside the door here, so I'd welcome you to stick around. I also want to thank again our great musicians, Kira and Jimmy, for being here today.